I'm Brenda Caldwell, aka Dr. B. Welcome to the Hope Zone, moving you from a place of hopelessness and brokenness to a place of healing and wholeness, a place where hope is alive to bring you more peace, more joy, more freedom, and more understanding of your God-given purpose. Let's enter the Hope Zone. Hi, and welcome in, Hope Family. You're joining me, Brenda Caldwell, aka Dr. B, for the Hope Zone. You've just entered episode number 13 of the Hope Zone. We're doing it. We together are doing it. And I'm just so thankful and so grateful to have you be a part of this journey that God has me on. As long as there's one person, I should say, that is listening and tuning in, I have committed to doing the Hope Zone podcast. And I'm so thankful for the many ones that are tuning in. And so I am telling you, today is one of my favorite topics that we can talk about. I just want you to get excited about what we're going to share today, which is all about gratitude. Gratitude. We're talking about today listen to me, how do you enter into a get to versus have to life? Get to versus have to life, understanding the power of gratitude. So we're talking about what it means to really be grateful and what it means to live a get to versus a have to life. Let me just first say, I really appreciate you continuing to share the Hope Zone with someone who is special to you. That means that you are an amazing person because you're sharing the Hope Zone and letting people know about it. It's really helping it to get out. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And so as we kick off today, I just want to remind you a little bit, hope is what I give and hope is why I live. Yes, indeed. I am the hopeologist, the ambassador of hope. And you know, hope on two legs. So let's get into the topic today. What does it mean to be grateful? First of all, what does it mean to be grateful? We hear this word a lot, grateful, be thankful. Well, when you talk about gratitude is just that. It is a deep, sincere appreciation and thankfulness for the smallest of things. So we're going to talk about how to be grateful for small things today that really matter. And those small things do add up. And of course, it is certainly the will of God that we show gratitude. In fact, the word says in 1 Thessalonians 5:18, thanks be to God. And it tells us that we should, in every circumstance, in every situation, be thankful because this is the will of God. So it's like, thanks be to God for the ability to be grateful. So he's saying in every situation, in every part of whatever may be going on in your life, always be thankful. Always be grateful. It's just something about gratitude. And it does something for us. You know, you think about if you are a parent, if you hear your child being thankful and grateful and showing so much appreciation for you, what does it make you want to do? Give your child more, okay? When you know that you are appreciated, it's something about when we feel appreciated. Well, we need to always have that mindset when it comes to God and when it comes to the things that God has placed in the earth for us to be grateful for and thankful for. So we're talking today about gratitude, understanding the power of gratitude, what it does for you, how it changes your life. And then in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about the get to versus the have to life. How do you live a get to versus a have to life or a gotta life? So I'll break that down here shortly. But when you talk about being grateful, I want to ask you, what are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? What are you thankful for? Could you literally pause right now, stop right now, and accept this challenge? If I challenged you to think of 10 things, just 10 10 things that you are absolutely grateful for. Could you do it? Could you come up with 10 things? And what if those 10 things were not something that you could even spend money on? 10 things that you're grateful for that money can't even buy. If you can think of 10 things that you're grateful for that money can't even buy, you're really wealthy. You really are wealthy. I'm telling you, the things that money can't buy mostly are those things that are really huge that sometimes just go over our heads. And a lot of times we end up taking for granted. We really, really do. And so I want you to just embrace today. Let this topic today just ignite something in you, because no matter what may be going on in your life, no matter what may be going on in your life, there is something to be grateful for. We hear that all the time, but do we really stop and say, wow, let me list those things that I am grateful for. Let me take inventory of the things that I have to be grateful for. If you really got serious and you took this on as a challenge, when this podcast ended and you took, shut it down and then got a piece of paper and got a pen and just started writing, you would be amazed. Your list would be so long. I'm telling you, you would be amazed when you really think about the things that you have to be so incredibly grateful for. The list can go on and on and on. And it's very humbling. It is. So gratitude, I'm telling you, being grateful, being thankful, being appreciative of those small things, they really do matter. And so I'm going to ask you this question. What if, check this out. I heard this question somewhere on a YouTube thing that I listened to some years ago. And I never forgot that question. And the question is, what if the only things you had tomorrow are the things that you are grateful for today? Think about that. What if the only things in your life tomorrow that you could keep would be the things that you're absolutely expressing gratitude for today? Wouldn't that just change the way you operated? Wouldn't that change the way you'd be? Oh, God, I thank you for my family. Oh, God, I thank you for my mom. Oh, God, I thank you for my job. Oh, God, Lord Jesus, I thank you for you. Right? Every day, we'd probably be in a lot of bondage, though, right? Oh, God, oh, Lord, let me make sure I say I'm thankful, because I want to make sure I have it here tomorrow. Let me be thankful for my children, because I want them to be here tomorrow. It's not about that literally. But it is about thinking that way. What if really the only things I could have tomorrow would be those things that I'm grateful for today? It's just a reminder. Be grateful. Be grateful. Let me tell you, First Chronicles 16:34 says, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. For he is good, and his love endures forever. It's just something about being grateful, being thankful, and showing that appreciation for those things in life that we really do have. It's so much we have in life to literally be grateful for, and that we need to stop and pause, because it's easy. The opposite of being grateful is complaining, being negative. When you think about it, do you challenge yourself when you complain? Because listen, if we want to complain, we can wake up and go all through the day and find something to complain about. It's so easy to find something to complain about. I mean, you can be leaving your air-conditioned, wonderful, beautiful home and get stuck outside, in traffic somewhere, and having to get out of your car somewhere, and whatever, just being in the sun. 10 minutes too long, if you will, and start complaining about heat. Oh my God. When there's somebody that would be thankful to even have a house that they have air conditioned in, to even get a reprieve from the heat, because all they know is being in the heat all day. That's a homeless person. It's so much to be thankful for. So much to be grateful for, so much. So this is to stir us up, to excite us and to ignite you, to ignite me, right? You and I together to learn to be more grateful. And it's also to convict you and to convict me. Come on, because we can always be more grateful. So think about that the next time you complain. Stop it right there. Challenge yourself. Wait a minute. I'm not going to complain about this. What do I have to be grateful for in this moment? How can I turn this into a gratitude moment? Because it is the will of God. He says, in everything give thanks, because this is the will of God concerning you. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So gratitude. Think about gratitude. Think about so much that you have to be grateful for. So much. If you couldn't even begin to list it all. And so let's talk a little bit more about just gratitude. And I was going to actually do a whole nother podcast segment, and I received a phone call. I was literally, this is true, I was literally sitting down to do this podcast, to take this podcast, when I got a phone call from my sister. And my sister, she was sharing with me, her name's Lisa, and Lisa was sharing with me that she was so excited and so grateful because she had got a raise on her job as a teacher. She hadn't gotten a raise in several years, but this year they received a raise, and she was so grateful because it was a significant raise. But this is what she was really grateful for. She remembers how it was 28 years ago. 28 years ago, she had asked me a question. She was making, and she tells this testimony herself, and she is so grateful. It takes her back to a very pivotal moment in her life. Lisa was making $6.93 an hour, and she was working this dead-end job. She just was going nowhere, was making no money on this job. And she began to realize, looking around her, she was thinking, oh my God, if I don't make a change, if I don't change, my circumstances, if I don't do something different, I'm going to be just stuck here, and I'll never be able to, do well in life. I'm just going nowhere. And so she came to me and she said, Brenda, you know what? I've got to make a change. And she said, I'm making $6.93 an hour. And I mean, God, I'll never be able to, financially do well in life. I've got to do something different. And I said, well, what do you want to do? She said, well, I've been thinking about becoming a teacher. And she said, but the only thing is, it's going to take me 5 years to go back to school and to get a degree. And she was saying all this. And so I waited until she finished. And I said, well, Lisa, let me ask you a question. I said, so how old are you now? She said, I'm 25. I said, how old will you be in 5 years? She said, I'll be 30. I said, well, now, Lisa, let me ask you another question. Wow, only God. I said, how old will you be in 5 years if you don't go back to school? She said, oh my God, I'll be the same age. I said, exactly. If you do or you don't, you're going to be the same age. So why not go back to school and get a degree and pursue your dream? My sister is so grateful that 28 years later, and it took her 5 years to go back and get a bachelor's. She went back another 3 and got a master's. She was in school for 8 years of her life. But after those 8 years, she's now been teaching for 20 years. Do you hear me? 20 years. So this was her 20th year. This is her 20th year. And she realizes that, wow, one decision. She's so grateful for one decision that she made 28 years ago that changed the whole trajectory of her life. Now she earns a good salary, doing what she loves to do, and she feels called to do, and that is a teacher. I'm so grateful for every single teacher. If you are a teacher, thank you. If you know a teacher, thank the teachers that are in your life. I'm so serious. Where would our country be without teachers? So that's one of the things I'm grateful for. Good teachers who love our young people. So it's just amazing, though, that she was so grateful for that one decision that the Lord used me to help her make and think about her life in that way. And so you think about what we have to be grateful for. It's just so much. It's so much. I mean, just the ability to wake up and see, the ability to just not take eyesight for granted. Recently, I have a dear friend who received a kidney a couple of years ago, and she was asked to be a speaker for the Kidney Transplant Foundation, the Donor Transplant Foundation. And I went to hear her speak, and before she spoke, another lady spoke, and this lady was a recipient of cornea, which helps you to be able to have an eye transplant. And she went through an eye transplant because she literally was losing her vision. And she gave a powerful testimony about never taking the ability to see for granted, because she literally could not drive at night. She had to cut out all of the activities, of her life when it got dark. I mean, it completely altered her life with her children. She was very limited because she literally could not see at all in the dark. And so to get that eye transplant, and I was sitting there thinking, wow, how we take the ability to wake up and see for granted just because we can see, and we take it for granted, or the ability to hear. So it's just so many things that we have around us that it is God's will that we become more grateful for. And so I think about a prayer that I heard, I saw it somewhere, and it said that if you are, it talked about the difference between well people and sick people. And it said, if you are a well person, if you're well, you may have 25 things that you're praying for. Oh, you want to do this, Lord, do this, and Lord, do that, and God, would you do this, and God, another prayer request. And you got all these prayer requests when you're well. But it said a sick person has one prayer, and that's to be healed. That's to be well. When you're sick, you're not thinking about anything. You just really want to be healthy again. You want to be well. I think about one of the richest people that have ever lived. His name is Steve Jobs, the former president CEO of Microsoft, not Microsoft, but Apple, and how Steve Jobs was a billionaire, brilliant man, but he was a sick man. And he had a rare form of cancer. And I remember that I live in Memphis, and I remember that Steve Jobs came to Memphis to our world-renowned St. Jude Hospital that specializes in cancer treatment for children. But of course, it is a cancer hospital that studies cancer and is a research hospital. And so because he could afford, he was afforded the opportunity to have the best care, the best research treatment given to him. And it wasn't enough to keep Steve Jobs, a billionaire, alive. How much would Steve Jobs would have traded in? Do you think he would have given up the whole Apple company if he could have just been able to stay alive? Chances probably are he would have stayed here, right? And said, I'll give up the whole Apple company and I'll start over. I'll start an orange company. Come on, I'll do something else. But I just want to stay here because, of course, he had family and, and loved ones. And so when you think about the ability that you have to get up and get out of the bed and go, throughout your day, every day, because you are not waking up sick, don't take that for granted. Because millions and millions and millions of people do wake up in pain, go to bed in pain, and wake up in pain. My mom is 85 years old, and you get older, you tend to start having more aches and pains in the body. And I hear her talking, about that. My hip is hurting, my knee is hurting, and things like that. It just reminds me that don't take life for granted, don't take health for granted, don't take for granted that you're able to just, be able to again, wake up pain-free. My goodness, so many things to not take for granted. And in fact, in terms of wanting to count your blessings, I went and looked up one of the it's a poem. I don't know, it doesn't rhyme, but I want to read something to you that I've had for like many years. It's called Count Your Blessings. I want to read this to you because I want you to count just your blessings. I want you to realize there are 7,846,000,000 people on planet Earth. So when we think about how big the world is, when we think about the world, we kind of think of our world, our family, our job, our friends, our little small sphere of influence. But the world is huge. It's humongous. There are billions of people here. When you think about that, I want what I read to you to help you put your life in perspective, because again, sometimes we need to have a worldview to remind us of just how rich we really are. So this says, if you have food in the refrigerator, clothes on your back, a roof over your head, and a place to sleep, did you know that you're richer than 75%? That you are richer than 75% of the world? 75% of the world, just because you have food in your refrigerator, clothes on your back, a roof over your head, and a place to sleep. That's a blessing to count today. Here's one. If you have money in the bank, in your wallet, or spare change in a dish somewhere, did you know that you are among the top 8% of the world's wealthy? Doesn't make sense. Because if you're in just your country, are you with me? If you're in where I am in America, again, you think, oh God, I can't pay my bill, or I'm going through this, or I'm going through that, but compared to the world, you're pretty rich. Pretty rich. If you find some money anywhere, if you have a bank account anywhere, got spare change anywhere. There are so many people in the world that do not. It says, if you wake up in the morning with more health than illness, then you're more blessed than the million of people who will not survive this week. In the scope of the world, 1 million people die every week. Every week. A baby is born every day, all day, but a person dies every day, all day. So to wake up and you're still here is something to be grateful for. It's something to be grateful for. Are you grateful? Are you grateful? What are you grateful for? It's so much to be thankful for. Here's one. If you have never experienced the danger of battle, the loneliness of imprisonment, the agony of torture, or the pangs of starvation, then you are ahead of 500 million people in the world. In the world. Again, remember, there are 7,846,000,000 people in the world. And if you have never been in any kind of imprisonment, if you have never known the pangs of starvation, or the agony of torture, or being in battle, there are people who are in wars in different parts of the world. There are children being raised in war. That's all they know all day long is gun battle going on. If that is not you, you have so much to be grateful for. So much to be grateful for today. So when you think about gratitude, you think about what it means to be grateful, being thankful that we have the opportunity every single day, no matter what happened yesterday, to start over, and to be able to approach the day with a little bit more thankfulness, a little bit more gratitude. Just a little bit goes a long way. One of the things, we tend to take even being able to read the Bible and, have a Bible in a public place if you're a believer like me. And this one says, if you can attend church, If you literally can't attend church without the fear of harassment, arrest, or torture or death, wow. It says you are blessed more than 3 billion people in the world. That's almost half of the people in the world. That is not to be taken for granted. It is not. So it's almost saying almost half, nearly half of the people in the world are not free to be able to attend church, are not free to worship God freely, or not free to be able to even profess their religion, their Christianity, or their faith. Almost half of the people on the planet. And so to not take for granted the ability to hold a Bible in a public place, because that's your prerogative, that's your right, to not take that for granted, that you can even speak freely about your faith in this country, America. And I know the world is getting darker. Even America is getting darker, and it's, you know, the times of the Bible are starting to be played out. But still, the fact that you do not have to worry about being tortured or being harassed is something not to take for granted. It is something to be grateful for. And I just admire people who, I know I've read it and seen it, and I've been to a few countries, and to be able, or to have Bible study in secret is really something to experience. To have the threat of your arms or fingers or hands being burned off because of trying to literally proclaim the gospel is not something to take for granted at all, or to not take lightly. But it's just so much to be grateful for. We have so much to be grateful for in our world. And so if you've never kept a gratitude journal, I would encourage you to keep a journal, and you can do it. If you challenge yourself just this week to write down 5 things every day that you're grateful for at the end of your day. First time I've ever heard someone talking about that was Oprah Winfrey. She spoke a lot. I've heard her share many times just, how she started many years ago writing those things down that she was grateful for, and how it just stuck. And it's something that she's made a habit. And I like to make it a habit as well, to write down those things that I'm grateful for. So just challenge yourself to write down, if it's not 5 things, if it's not 3 things, 1 thing every day. Could you imagine doing that at the end of your day? Literally writing on a piece of paper for just 1 year. Do you not know that in 1 year you would have 365 things that you would be grateful for? You know what that sounds like? A book. You can write a book in 1 year. Wait a minute, I gave you an idea. I need to keep that idea for myself. Well, it's too late. I put it out there. So feel free to do it. Write a gratitude book. Listen, you can write a gratitude book in a year with 365 pages. And all you have to do is write 1 thing, different thing that you're grateful for every single day for a year. Boom, you'll have a book, let me tell you. So I just wanted to give this word today on this podcast, episode number 13, just reminding you, be grateful no matter what's going on in your life. Be grateful. Make up in your mind. Would you say that? Say this: I choose to be grateful. Did you say it? Come on. I believe in affirming. I believe in affirmation. Let's say that. I choose to be grateful. Now let's say it like this: I am grateful. Oh, I love it. When you say it, it just does something. God loves gratitude. God loves grateful people. It is so beautiful to have a grateful heart and a grateful spirit. It takes nothing to say thank you, and to just be thankful and grateful for everything that is around you in your life. Again, remember, if the only things you can have tomorrow are those things that you were grateful for today, that's something to remind you to be grateful for everything that is in your life, the family, the friends, We have issues with family, but listen, still be grateful for family and grateful for extended family. Are you grateful for those friends in your life? Grateful for people who value you and people who appreciate you? Are you grateful again for health? Being grateful for, you may not have the best job, but being grateful for a job. Or if you don't have a job, the ability to be able to look for a job because you can read. Come on, it's so much to be grateful for. Grateful. It is a powerful thing to demonstrate gratefulness. And then when you talk about the get to versus the have to, I want to close with the get to versus the have to lifestyle. What is the get to versus have to lifestyle? So get to, it's all about a mindset, right? So get to is having the mindset of, listen, let's take examples. It's like going to the bank, saying, do you get to go to the bank or do you have to go to the bank? So if somebody says, oh, God, I got to go to the bank today. I forgot. I got to go and, deposit this check. I got to, it's going to hold me up. I don't know what time I'll get back. I got to go to the bank or I have to go to the bank. No, it's not about you have to or you got to. Well, come on, you get to. Because what does that mean? It means that you have some money there. It means that you have an account established. Come on. And listen, when you talk about the get to, that means that you have something already in place that you get to go and withdraw from or participate in. Get to. Say this, I get to go to the bank. Come on, I get to. Here's one. What about raking leaves or having to do yard work? Oh, I got to do my yard today. Oh, I gotta wash the car. Oh, seriously? Really? You gotta wash the car? You gotta do your yard work? You listen, that means that you own a home or you have somewhere that you're renting that you're calling home and you own a car. Come on. That means I get to do the yard work. That's what I tell myself when I work in my yard. I get to, I try to remind myself. I remember, girl, that means that you have a house. It means that you're a homeowner. I get to work in the yard. I get to wash my car. Not I gotta wash the car. I have to wash the car. I get to. When you have a get to, it changes your whole attitude. It just does. It really, really does. So when you talk about the get to versus the have to or got to, it takes it from being a chore or some kind of obligation to it being a privilege, come on, and an honor. It's a privilege. It gets to be, it changes your spirit, changes your attitude. So think about the things that you've been saying, I gotta do or I have to do. Can you change that to I get to? I get to. I'm telling you something. It will change your whole life to have that mindset. It is so beautiful. It's so freeing. And sometimes I just laugh and it reminds me, and it does. It gives you a different perspective of having to do those things again that would seem like that they would be a chore, or maybe there would be an inconvenience, or something that maybe laborious to you. No, it's all in the attitude. It's all in the attitude, and it comes from having an attitude of gratitude. So are you going to live that get to life? Get to. Think about the things that you get to do on a day-to-day basis that you have basically not appreciated, you have taken for granted, and not realized that it is such a blessing. Anytime you're driving a car and you're not having to be on a bus, come on, you get to go to the gas station. I mean, you got to go to the gas station, or do you get to go to the gas station? That means that you own a vehicle and somebody else wish that they had a vehicle today. So it's just all about, think about areas of your life where you've been thinking you got to do it, you have to do it, and it's a chore. No, think about I get to because it's a privilege. I get to because I'm favored. I get to because I'm really blessed. It really goes back to counting your blessings. So I so pray that you have been inspired today with today's Hope Zone podcast, reminding you, come on, to be grateful, the power of gratitude, the power of living a get-to life versus a have-to life, and just realizing that God loves and honors. He absolutely loves for us to have a grateful heart, a heart of gratitude. The more grateful you are, the more that you will see come into your life. Gratitude brings more to you. Remember that. Gratitude brings more to you. So I'm closing out today, just reminding you that I want you to continue to share the podcast. I would love for you to go wherever you listen to your podcast and leave a comment, write a comment, or like the podcast. I'd love for you to do all those things. It's such a blessing. I really would love for you to share this message with somebody else that you know that needs to be reminded of the power of gratitude. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Until next time, do remember what I love to say. And that is this, that we have to be so in love with a word called hope. Holding on to hope like it's a piece of rope, because there's always a reason to have hope. So until next time, again, hold on to hope like it's a piece of rope. I'm so glad you made it to the end of the podcast. If the Hope Zone is making a positive difference in your life, please subscribe to the show so you don't miss the next episode. Leave a review, and most of all, share it with your friends. And remember, from your worst day to your best day, there's hope in every situation.